Hi, and this is the first of the two videos we're going to show you on how to handle COVID-19. We're going to cover entering COVID-19 transactions on a week-to-week basis. Before I do that, I'd just like to wish yourself, your family, and your staff all good health, and hopefully you all stay safe and well. Right, so the first thing you need to consider is that the system needs to know what an employee's normal looks like, because the COVID-19 is based on paying the employee at least 80% of their normal pay. So to do that, we would go into the employee settings. I'm going to use an example here where I have an employee who was paid $25 an hour because it just makes the maths easier for this presentation. So I've set my employee up. They've got an hourly rate of $25 an hour, and I have entered default hours for them for the week. So they've got default hours for each day. Now, this is what their normal hours would be like. Now, I know for some of you, you'll have staff who don't have such a thing as normal, but the rule around paying the subsidy is that you have to pay the employee 80% of normal. So that's their contracted hours. So if I go in here, so I'll check that I've got that. Now, when I go to process my pay, I go into time and income. Now, for some of you, by default, it will populate the hours. Now, if I approve this, obviously it's going to pay the employees as per normal. I don't want to do that. Our recommendation, and it seems to be an industry recommendation, is that you identify the COVID-19 transaction as a separate transaction in your payroll. You don't just put it through as normal time. That way, if you are ever audited, you'll be able to deal with that particular situation. So in order to change this from normal, I can go in here, click on Action, choose COVID-19, and save it. So now what I'm doing is I'm actually allocating these days to the COVID-19 payment. Now, obviously, if you're doing a weekly total, then you're just doing that for the whole week. In my case, I've got this on a daily transaction basis. So I'll just quickly go through and change these ones so you'll see the effect of this. And I'll do the last two. And there is a faster way of doing this, which I will address in the next video. But this is what you would do if you needed to edit your pay as it stands. And I save. Now, if when you come in here, the employees' hours are not automatically populated for the days of the week, you can go to the I button here on the right, and you can check what their default hours are, and you can edit this and change this. Bear in mind, these dates are very specific, so don't add something with a date that's outside of your pay range, in particular that's in the future. In the past, doesn't matter, so you can populate that. The other thing you can do while you're in the I button, if this isn't auto-populated, is that you can come in here and you can click on Apply Daily Hours, and then that will populate the screen with the 5 days or whatever it is. So looking at this now, I have my employee with their COVID-19 time in here. If I approve that, you'll notice that there's no value. So it's not calculating any dollar value against this particular record. And the reason for this is we still need to track the hours that have been associated with the COVID-19 leave pay, so that your holiday pay accrual will continue to work properly. So if I can approve that for a second, now what we have to do is address the physical payment. So under other income, we can go and add an item. And if I choose COVID-19 relief payment, and I can put in that that's one of those. So I'm now paying one lot of $585. And if I close that now, you'll see that that's down the bottom of the screen. Now, if I approve this as it was, then I'm only paying the employee the $585. Now, under the rules, you have to pay them up. You have to pay them at least, up 80% of what their normal pay would look like. Now, in my case, I've used $25 an hour for this employee. So their normal pay would be $1,000 gross. So if I unapprove this now, what I need to do is get to the point where I've got 80% of $1,000, which is in this case $800. So I need to top it up with an amount here, which would be $214.20. So what I would do is I would go to other income again, and I would add the second option, which is my top up, and I would put in that that's one, and it's $214.20, and I would save that. So I've now got two COVID-19 payments. Now the COVID-19 relief payment, this one here, is automatically in Crystal. This one you will have to add, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So now down the bottom, I've got two lines. So now when I approve this, my employee is getting paid $800, which is the equivalent of 80% of their normal gross pay. So as I said, if you haven't got that second option, or you need to add that second option for the top up, You do that simply by going to Other Income, Set Up Income Items, and in here go to More, and then you can add an item. So you can call it whatever you want. So you could call it COVID-19 top up, and I'm going to make this 2 so you can see that there is a difference. Now it's important that you choose ordinary here as the option and you save that. So now you've got the option to choose those when you're in the drop down. So if I just close that and close that, and now if I went add, I would have COVID-19 2. Obviously you wouldn't have 2 of these in there, but I've done this just to show you the difference that I've added this one, and then you'll do the same process. So that's how you would create an additional code if you want to create an additional code. Now obviously there will be cases where you won't be paying the employee the full week based on this scenario. They might have some worked hours, they might have some leave. So the important thing is that whatever you put in up the top has to be either paying them or COVID-19. This amount has to go in. It's either the $580 or the $350 if they're part-time, and then the top up is the difference. So you need to end up still at 80% or more of the employee's normal pay. So that's how you would do that. So I'll just go to another one. So that's how I went and changed it. So in this case here, I'm going to show you how I would actually load it manually. So if I go in here, I want to now do the 27th. So we've got the rest of the week in there. I would choose COVID-19. I would put in the employee's normal hours and I would save it. So I'd still do the other income down the bottom and then still do the loading of that for this particular employee if I needed to add the additional payment. So that will cover getting in the leave. In the next video, we will show you how to do it in a way where you can actually pre-process this. You can set it up so that it is a default setup for your employee. So you could set up the next, excuse me, the next 4 weeks' pays and have it just basically open and close as you go through the particular process that you need to go through. So that covers that. Now, as I said a couple of times already, if you have got a scenario where you are not dealing with a whole week's worth of COVID-19 time off and a subsidy and a top-up, then please talk to the team, because if you need to put in other items, we need to show you how to match that. So the important thing is in this email that I'm sending you, there'll also be methodology around figuring out what normal looks like for an employee. We'll create a spreadsheet option for you to show you how to go and figure out what normal looks like, which will then help you doing the top up as you go through the process. So hopefully that helps, and in the next video we'll cover the other material.